The bear cub who dreamed of soaring. In the heart of a vast green forest, there lived a curious and adventurous bear cub named Benny. Benny was unlike any other bear cub in the forest. While his friends loved to splash in the river and forage for berries, Benny spent his days gazing at the sky, watching the birds soar gracefully among the clouds. One sunny afternoon, as Benny lay on his back in a meadow, he sighed and said, "Oh, how I wish I could fly like the birds. Their world seems so free and exciting." Benny's best friend, a wise old owl named Oliver, heard his sigh and flew down to perch on a nearby branch. "Why do you want to fly, little Benny?" Oliver asked gently. Benny's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I want to see the world from above, feel the wind beneath my wings, and explore places no bear has ever been." Oliver tilted his head thoughtfully. "Flying is wonderful, but every creature has its own special way of exploring the world. Maybe there's another way for you to experience the sky." Benny pondered Oliver's words and thanked him. Determined to find a way, Benny set off to ask his other friends for ideas. First, he visited Ruby the squirrel, who was busy gathering acorns. "Ruby, how can I fly like the birds?" Benny asked. Ruby chuckled and replied, "I can't fly, but I climb the tallest trees to get a bird's eye view." "Why don't you try climbing a tree, Benny?" Benny nodded and climbed the tallest tree he could find. When he reached the top, he could see the whole forest stretching out before him. The view was beautiful, but it wasn't quite the same as flying. Next, Benny visited Freddy the frog, who lived by the pond. "Freddy, how can I fly like the birds?" Benny asked. Freddy croaked and said, "I can't fly, but I leap high above the water and feel the wind in my face." "Maybe you could try jumping, Benny." Benny tried jumping as high as he could. He leaped and leaped, feeling the wind rush past him, but he always landed back on the ground. It was fun, but it still wasn't flying. Feeling a bit discouraged, Benny walked to the meadow and sat down to watch the birds once more. Suddenly, a bright idea popped into his head. "If I can't fly like a bird, maybe I can float like a cloud." Benny hurried to the riverbank, where he found some large, sturdy leaves. He gathered a bunch of them and wove them together to make a big, flat raft. Carefully, he pushed the raft into the river and climbed on top. The current caught the raft, and Benny floated down the river, feeling the gentle breeze on his fur. As Benny drifted along, he looked up at the sky and felt as if he were soaring among the clouds. He saw the forest from a new perspective, and it was just as magical as he had imagined. That evening, Benny returned to the meadow where Oliver was waiting. "Did you find a way to fly, Benny?" Oliver asked with a twinkle in his eye. Benny smiled and said, "I did. I floated down the river on a raft, and it felt like I was soaring through the sky." "Thank you, Oliver, for helping me see that there are many ways to explore the world." Oliver hooted softly. "I'm glad you discovered your own special way, Benny. Remember, the world is full of wonders, and there's always more than one way to experience them." From that day on, Benny continued to explore the forest, sometimes climbing trees, sometimes leaping like a frog, and sometimes floating down the river on his raft. And every time he looked up at the birds soaring above, he knew that he, too, had found his own way to soar. And so, Benny the bear cub lived happily in his forest home, always dreaming, always exploring, and always finding new ways to make his dreams come true. The end.